Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
Tonight it's off to the ATL, the Big Peach, home of the Braves. Miami hits town for a 4-gamer, and the Braves are hot and in a dead heat for first place in the East. So sit back, put your feet up, get the game on. It's Marlins and Braves. Sticky. That's how many have described the weather in Atlanta today. Humid, not too hot, overcast, a little bit of rain, but the Marlins and the Braves open up a 4-game series at Turner Field. Won't be the home of the Braves much longer with their new ballpark just starting construction as the Fish and the Braves start a 4-gamer. The Marlins coming off a win. Evan Gattis is coming off the disabled list. Casey McGee left the yard yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kenny Rogers to the broadcast. Hi, everyone. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Carryover, momentum. I know it's only in baseball, only as far as your next day starting pitcher, but the Marlins would love to have some carryover from the win yesterday.
Yeah, that's why that win yesterday was good for the ball club, knowing that they were going on the road, knowing that they were going to have a tough 4-game series here against the Braves.
How sweet was it for the Marlins that Casey McGee went deep? All through batting practice this year, McGee, who had 1 homer going into yesterday's ballgame and 54 RBIs, he'd been teased. Teammates have been on him. You know he's got power, and he showed it yesterday.
It's hard to believe it was his first home run at home because his other came on the road. 232 at-bats since his last home run. But Casey McGee continues to hit. He's hit in 21 of 22. He has a 7-game hitting streak right now. And for the month of July, Casey McGee's hitting .390.
Okay, here's your momentum now. Here are the next day's starters. Tonight, for the Fish, Tom Kohler gets the ball. And for the Marlins, they're hopeful that Kohler, as our Chevron pitching matchup starts, Tom Kohler pitches up to what he's done in this ballpark.
Yeah, you look at those numbers, the ERA 292. So Tom Kohler can take that, use that as momentum, knowing that he's always pitched well against the Braves here in this ballpark.
Julio Teheran is a all-star. In fact, the Marlins will have seen 3 in their last 4 ball games, 3 all-stars. And, of course, Tim Lincecum was pretty good, too.
Boy, and look at his career numbers against the Marlins. The other thing about Teheran, he's matched up twice against Tom Kohler, so they're familiar with each other.
Familiar with each other? The Braves and the Marlins certainly are. And for 4 games here in Atlanta, the Fish and the Braves do battle. And Preston Wilson has the best seat in the house. And he'll talk about Giancarlo getting back on track. To go from Turner Field. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, welcome back. We're moments away from first pitch. Marlins coming off the All-Star break. We're hoping that their big slugger, Giancarlo Stanton, would get back in the groove. And Preston Wilson, you and I saw him before the All-Star break. He certainly wasn't in a groove. What's changed in the 3 games against San Francisco?
Well, sometimes you can hit yourself into a slump, just like you can swing yourself out of a slump. And Giancarlo Stanton was having such success in the first half that he was able to get away with some things mechanically that weren't necessarily sound. But he used it off the break, over the All-Star break, to tinker with it a little bit. And now he has that rhythm. You see that nice, smooth swing that he has. He doesn't look rushed anymore. You see he has a little bit of flex in his knees. He's starting to cover the ball out over the plate. 3 for 10 the last series, 2 home runs and a double. And you look at that. That is driving the ball. That is the type of power that we're used to seeing him hitting with. And he's found a way to get back to that rhythm, and it's nice to see because the Marlins are going to need him this series. They want to try to take some games away from the Braves.
Casey McGee homering yesterday as well. Do you expect now that the home runs will start to come a little more often for him?
You know what I do. They're going to come in bunches, and, he's a power hitter. But the good thing about him is he's smart enough and stubborn enough that it doesn't let him change. He won't let himself become a different type of hitter because of the want for power. He stays with that approach. He stays inside the ball, drives the ball the other way. And when you do that, the game will reward you. He's going to start finding a few more hanging sliders, a few more singers that don't get in. Those power numbers will start climbing again. Professional
hitter Preston Wilson with some professional analysis of 2 big bats in the Marlins lineup. Round 3, Tom Kohler, Julio Teheran. Who you got? Marlins and Braves coming up.
Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T Uverse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 800-PICK AT&T. Mobilizing your world. By Checkers. Checkers brings big flavor for a small price. Feed your craving for quality for only $1. Cha-ching. And by your South Florida Honda dealers and sfhondadealers.com. The Atlanta Braves take the field. Julio Teheran leads them out as the Braves and the Marlins open up a 4-game series. The Braves just took 2 of 3 from the Phillies. The Marlins dropped 2 of 3 to the San Francisco Giants. Jam Lexus brings you the Marlins lineup. Christian Yelich in the leadoff spot. Jordani Valdespin is at second base. Giancarlo Stanton in right. Casey McGee slotted fourth. McGee, terrific on the road. Terrific everywhere. this year. Garrett Jones, Marcelo Ozuna, Jared Saltalamacchia, Adedi Echeverria, and Tom Kohler round out Miami's lineup. And they'll be facing an all-star, Julio Teheran, a youngster out of Colombia.
You talk to people, Rich, who follow the Braves, and one of the things they tell you about Teheran, who had a solid year last year, he won 14, he lost 8. What he's done this year, he's just become a better pitcher. He's smarter. Sometimes he doesn't use that fastball to the 95 velocity. He pitches to contact. He'll try to get some early outs. So he's having another terrific year. He's 7th in the National League in earned run average at 2.71.
Defensively, here come the Braves.
And we'll take a peek at that defense with the Uptons in left and center, Justin and BJ. Jason Hayward's a right fielder. Chris Johnson, Andrelton Simmons. Tommy LaStella has settled in at second base. Freddie Freeman, the first baseman. Evan Gattis, just off the disabled list, had some lower back issues, so the Braves are happy to have him back.
The best defensive player in all of baseball, and that is Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop of the Atlanta Braves. It'll be fun to watch him for 4 games. The Marlins lead it off with Christian Yelich. And, of course, Yelich hot yesterday and 0 for 4. It snapped a 12-game hit streak, a career long. But Yelich, since late June, stay on the disabled list and on through the All-Star break, has stayed very, very steady. And he fouls the first pitch off. And we're underway. Pinch-a-Penny bringing the first pitch.
It's a good sign for Christian Yelich. He didn't put that ball in play, but when he puts the first pitch in play, he's been hitting near 500.
And a fastball from Teheran is up. 1-1. Yelich in 0 for 4 yesterday in the 3-2 win over San Francisco. Sprays a ground ball that Johnson spears, and a flip on over to first, and Yelich is out number 1. Scott, a report on this 23-year-old.
Well, we told you a little bit about him. He has that easy velocity. He doesn't have the max effort type delivery. A lot of two-seamers. He'll go for those early ground ball outs. He got one with Christian Yelich, and his changeup to the left-handers has some fade to it.
One of 3 All-Stars for the Atlanta Braves. Craig Kimbrell, Freddie Freeman, and, of course, Teheran. And here is Jordany Valdespin. Valdespin arriving to the Marlins in the series against the Giants. And for the Fish, they wanted desperately to get a little pop at second base with the injury to Derek Dietrich, a left-handed bat. And so far, Valdespin has handled himself fairly well. Here's the 1-0. And a breaking ball, a strike. Rob Drake calling balls and strikes. Alan Porter at first. Joe West, ladies and gentlemen, at second base. And Marty Foster is at third.
Well,
Rob Drake missed on that one.
And usually Rob Drake has kind of a tight strike zone.
Valdespin fouls it back. It counts 1-2.
So 2 in a row. Teheran has gone with that slow curveball.
We talked about the scarcity of Colombians in Major League Baseball. Teheran is from Colombia. Of course, Donovan Solano on the Marlins bench, also one of only 13 to get to the big leagues. Another breaking ball. Valdespin sends it into left. That would be Justin Upton out there. And he makes the catch. There's 2 outs. And so here comes Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton had a hit in each of the games against the Giants. Of course, they all were impressive. A pair of home runs, one a 466-footer, and a double yesterday. Teheran gets a strike with a fastball. This has not been a great place for Stanton to hit here at Turner Field in Atlanta.
Yeah, you said it. 206, just 2 home runs. 27 games at Turner Field.
It's a good pitch.
You know, part of that, you look at some of the numbers, part of that is certainly the Braves over the last few years have had some terrific pitching, too.
Tehran's 1-2. Stan hits a high pop, and it's fouling out of play. As with a few all-star pitchers, we saw it with Madison Bumgarner, we saw it with Henderson Alvarez. Tehran didn't necessarily go into that all-star game off of some great starts. Lost in New York, gave up 5 runs in just 3 innings. Stand off the end of the bat, pops that one into shallow left center. The Uptons converge, and it's BJ that comes away with it. And Tehran with a nifty 1-2-3 first. And Braves opening a 4-game set. And Tom Kohler gets the ball, and he faces this Braves lineup. It's brought to you by JM Lexus. B.J. Upton, Braves have had success with him in the leadoff spot. Tommy LaStella has been outstanding at second. Freddie Freeman at first, an all-star. Justin Upton in left. Jason Hayward in right. 10-game hit streak against the Marlins. Evan Gattis just off the disabled list and in the lineup. Chris Johnson's hot. Andrelton Simmons at short. And Tehran hits ninth.
We talked about the success Tom Kohler's had against the Atlanta Braves. He's pitched some good games against Atlanta. He hasn't picked up a win. He's 0-2 in his career. A no decision and a loss this year. Tom Kohler's also pitched extremely well against the National League East this year.
Well, he's got B.J. Upton, Tommy LaStella, and Freddie Freeman. Freddie Gonzalez searching for a spot for B.J. Upton. Obviously a struggle last year and a struggle this year. Finally settled on the leadoff spot, and for some reason, Tommy Hutton, the Braves have played quite well with Upton in that leadoff spot.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that everything else has kind of fallen into place too, because he still has struck out 120 times and walked just 33, not what you usually see in a leadoff guy.
You got LaStella and Freeman against Kohler. Here's the 1-1. Tom Kohler making start number 20. He's been durable. ERA just a touch under 4. Looking to even his record at 7-7.
I think the durable part, Rich, has to do with just the way Tom Kohler came up in the organization. Everywhere he was, he made his turn. He pitched. One year, okay, we want him to throw 150 innings. Next year, 160, and he did that.
Braves enter at 54-44. Some terrific races in the National League, and the top of the East, in a dead heat right now with Washington and Atlanta. Same with Milwaukee and St. Louis in the Central, and same with San Francisco and Los Angeles in the West.
Yeah, how about that? You don't see that too often. So Freddie Gonzalez, who had his Braves win over 90 games last year, on his way to do it this year.
3-2, couple hops, Echeverria. A dart over to first, and B.J. Upton is out, number 1. Miami defensively tonight.
Pretty good ballpark to play defense in. Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton in the outfield. There's some gaps, some space out there. The infield is usually pretty fast. Casey McGee and Etch on the left side. Jordani Valdez-Speen and Garrett Jones on the right side. And Jared Saltalamacchia behind the plate.
Tommy La Stella. As much as the Braves were disappointed by Dan Uggla, they've been very pleased with the play of Tommy La Stella. And if you haven't heard the news, the San Francisco Giants seem to have reached an accord with Dan Uggla on a minor league deal. And it sounds like Uggla will be heading to probably AAA to try to recapture his swing. The Giants, we just saw them, they're not quite sure that Marco Scutaro can hold up physically down the stretch. One is in the air, and Yelich is under it and makes the catch. The weather, Tommy Hutton, not as hot as usual, but sticky, muggy.
Got some rain showers this morning. I think the 4 days that the Marlins are here in Atlanta, we'll see some rain showers throughout the day. Hopefully not too much at night. But a little sticky, but not as hot as it could be.
Braves and Phillies had an hour-and-a-half rain delay in their ball game in the 6th inning yesterday. Here is Freddie Freeman. If you've watched the Marlins, you've obviously seen the Marlins and the Braves play each other a lot, and you know that Freddie Freeman is a terrific talent, an all-star. But this year, look at this, 0-56 for whatever reason. Freeman has not hit the fish. And you can read that two ways. You can read that and say, well, it's good for Miami, but you could also say that's not going to last.
Yeah, you can say a couple of things. You could say, yeah, it's not going to last. Or you could say, you know what? It's just the year that Freddie Freeman's not going to hit the Marlins well. 2 for 36.
Counts 1-2.
He's a terrific hitter. No question about that.
I think he just misses his buddy Jose Fernandez. Remember, they
had some great matchups.
They did. That memorable night here where I think Freeman hit his first pitch out, the fastball, and then I believe his next at bat, Jose started him with a changeup, and Freeman hit it off the wall in center field for a double. 2-2. Got him. Good breaking ball. Good start for Tom Kohler. And we're underway in Atlanta. A scoreless game. Scoreless in Atlanta. Casey McGee getting set to face Julio Teheran in the top of the second. The Gecko makes an early appearance here tonight and brings with him the Geico quote of the day. Whatever it ends up being, whether it's 2 or 30, I don't care. Whenever they show up on hitting his second home run of the season yesterday. An incredible season and statistically fascinating one for McGee. He's got a 7-game hit streak. The 2 homers now, but 56 runs driven in, 21 doubles. And he climbs in with Garrett Jones and Marcell Ozuna right behind him.
Well, he'll take 290 for a solid year. And who knows, maybe even more. It's an amazing part when you look at the top 10 of RBI leaders. Casey McGee's on that list, but you have all the home run guys. Goldschmidt, certainly Giancarlo, who leads the league. Adrian Gonzalez, Ryan Howard. But he's had a great approach and a great attitude about it.
There is a terrific column by Christina Carl on the Sweet Spot blog on ESPN.com about McGee and the numbers this year in terms of not homering, having a high average. That is strike 3 called. And McGee leaves with the pad on his shoulder. Teheran's frozen.
Target set up inside. Ball kind of cut back. Looked like it was a strike. Just caught that inside corner. Framed and caught nicely by Evan Gattis.
Garrett Jones now. Well, Teheran certainly looked sharp tonight. Nothing like the numbers of his last 2 starts. And I think for every pitcher here in the last couple of days and maybe the next couple as well, guys making their first start after the break.
Yeah, and his last start was July 13th. So it's been a little over a week now since Teheran started.
Of course, that narrative can go 2 directions. And you can say a guy like Teheran looks refreshed and sharp. If he gives up a couple home runs early, he's rusty. He gave up a home run to Chris Coghlan in that ball game against the Cubs.
Rich, that's what we get paid to do, to make analogies like that.
You mean bend the narrative? Is that what you're suggesting? Well, Teheran's out in front of Jones, just like McGee.
I like the note you had, though, that the Marlins, second half of the season, 3 of the 4 pitchers they've faced were all-stars, and the other one was Tim Lincecum, who had thrown a no-hitter.
That's right. You go back to the Giants series. The Marlins opened against Madison Bumgarner. He was an all-star. He pitched on the Sunday before the all-star game, and so he was replaced on the all-star team by Tim Hudson, who was Saturday's starter. Then you had Lincecum, who over 4 starts had one of the most dominant runs in San Francisco Giant history. The Marlins beat him yesterday, and now they get Teheran, who was also an all-star. Hey now. Not a huge shift for Jones. The Braves have Simmons. I guess if you've got a guy like Simmons, you just throw him out in an area and he'll go get just about everything. But the Braves certainly not as aggressive as most teams we've seen against Garrett Jones. It'll be interesting to see if that holds true with Saltalamacchia. Jones pounds it to the right side. Freeman to his right flips. And Teheran has retired all 5 that he's faced here to open this ball game. Marlin Flex Packs. Take advantage of season ticket prices. The flexibility of coming to the ballpark when you want with as many people as you want. 20 ticket vouchers starting at just $13 a game. Look up your Flex Pack today. Look it up at 1-877-MARLINS. Here's Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna had 3 hits, including a double and a triple against the Giants. And his nice year continues. Ozuna, a .275 average. He's slugging .467.
I think he's probably had the quietest year around the National League of most outfielders. You start talking about outfielders, even some of the all-star outfielders didn't have numbers comparable to Marcell Ozuna.
One is pulled just foul.
Brought up a good point about the shifting, and a lot of that has to do with the pitching. And so the Braves confident in where their pitchers are going to make pitches. So consequently, maybe you don't see the over-exaggerated shifts that we've seen some teams put on.
Well, they do have a somewhat of a shift on the left side with Simmons and Johnson over. As you saw, La Stella still on the first base side of second. And a high fastball, and boy, Julio Teheran looks sharp, striking out Ozuna. He's retired all 6. And the blue ribbon panel will review it. And if it passes muster, or whatever that term might be, you're in.
If we determined that the blue ribbon panel is different than the crack staff,
much different.
Yeah.
The blue ribbon panel is just, this is the first night back for the blue ribbon panel. They took the All-Star break off, and then they had the weekend off as well. Justin Upton, Jason Hayward, and Evan Gattis. This is a thick Braves lineup, especially now that Gattis is back in. When you drop Chris Johnson, as hot as he is right now, into the 7 spot, that's some depth in your lineup.
Yeah, Freddie Gonzalez has made a few tweaks in that lineup. He had a spell where Andrelton Simmons was hitting second. Well, Estella is settled in a little bit on a little hot streak, so he has Tommy La Stella up there in the number 2 hole.
Justin Upton fouls it back. Justin Upton slugging just over 500, 501, 22 doubles, 17 home runs. He's not had a great year against the Marlins. In fact, this season series is rather close. 9 games. Braves have won 5. Much different than last year when the Braves dominated Miami and won 13 of 19.
By the way, a real good curveball, that last pitch from Tom Kohler.
Fastball chopped into center field, the base hit. Season series between these two. It all started off in April. Jose Fernandez, 3 hits over 8 innings. Marlins swept that 3-game set in late April, early May. And then the Braves got revenge and they swept a 3-game set in Miami in late May, early June.
Yeah, that guy Gaddis, Evan Gaddis has 3 home runs against the Marlins this year.
Here's Hayward. First pitch running is Justin Upton. So to Lamacchia.
Well, that's a break because Justin Upton got a tremendous jump. B.J. Upton has 15 steals, Justin with 7. But he would have had 8 had Hayward not fouled that pitch off, not made contact. Look at the jump.
The Braves are one of the best in baseball and in the National League at stolen base percentage. 56 stolen bases. Successful 75% of the time.
Better move to the plate. Tom Kohler almost got away with a little bit of a quick pitch, but much better to hold Upton at first base. That's a part of the Braves that a lot of people don't talk about. Then we talk a little bit about their defense and certainly their lineup and their pitching. But yeah, they'll steal some bases.
The 4 best stolen base percentages in the National League reside in the East. The Washington Nationals and the Phillies are 1 and 2. The Marlins are 3rd. Believe it or not. Now the Marlins, they're not the Costco of base stealers. They don't steal in volume. They're more of a specialty store. 38 stolen bases.
More of a mom and pop store.
There you go. 38 stolen bases, but they've only been caught 11 times, so they come in at 77%. Cardinals 4, Braves 5. Justin Upton at first, 0-2 coming to Hayward.
Well, a big part of that with the Marlins, Christian Yelich is 11 of 14. Giancarlo 9 out of 9.
Count 1 and 2. Another move over. Marlins 4 here in Atlanta, and then 3 in Houston. Back to the American League. It would be the Marlins' first trip into Houston since the Astros jumped leagues. Breaking ball, Hayward got his hands through. Stanton comes in, lands in front of him. Justin Upton didn't hesitate, on his way to third, and he's in there. Ball gets loose. Hayward in there, and the Braves aggressive base running set themselves up second and third and nobody out.
Well, Jason Hayward came into that at bat, a .351 hitter against the Marlins this year. Got a slider, he didn't hit it all that well. Giancarlo tried to decoy, but no decoy for Justin Upton. He was off and running. The ball hits Upton as he slides into third. McGee loses sight for a second, but quickly Jason Hayward moved on to second base. Great base running on his part.
And for the Marlins now, it's absolutely the last guy they want to see at the plate in this spot, and that's Evan Gattis. Because Gattis, just off the disabled list, has crushed Miami. A swing and a miss at a breaking ball from Kohler. Infield is back. Gattis, a bulging disc.
Somehow you just knew that disc would get a lot better knowing that the Marlins were coming to town.
Giancarlo Stanton is going to end up with an error, even though he made a terrific throw. That's one of those errors that, as that one sails out of the seat. Here is Gattis, and here's the damage he's done, Tommy. This is all this year. A 9th inning walk-off. Remember, he had a pinch hit job as well. Coming in a pinch in the 8th inning. And then in Miami, against Steve Cishek, got elevation and hit it out. 0-2, Saltalamacchia had it just pop off the glove. Kohler needs a strikeout here. You've got Gattis, then you've got the hot Chris Johnson right behind him.
Yeah, Evan Gattis in 18 career games against the Marlins has 6 home runs and 20 RBIs.
A ball and 2 strikes. Now Gattis has fouled off pitches numbers 2 and 3. And Kohler has stayed away.
Well, with 2 strikes, you have a good chance to get him to chase a pitch that's not in the strike zone.
He fouls that one off. Gattis, as you know, just an incredible story and an old school guy. You look at him at the plate, no batting gloves. The legend of El Oso Blanco, who got the name the White Bear for his great Winter League play. '23rd round. Braves drafting him out of junior college in Odessa, Texas. A definite pattern.
Yeah, you don't have to have us tell you how Tom Kohler's trying to pitch Evan Gattis.
Can you get inside on him now?
At this point, you still want to get him to chase. You could get him to chase a high fastball.
Got him.
Or the breaking ball that's out of the zone. Once you get 2 strikes on him, he's going to swing. He's going to go in swing mode. So those were some good pitches by Tom Kohler. And a good slider to put him away.
Well, quite a battle there between Kohler and Gattis. Braves still have 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And now Johnson comes up. He was one of the hitting heroes yesterday in the win over the Phillies.
We talked about how hot Chris Johnson has been. He's on a 5-game hitting streak. He's hit 4 home runs during that span.
Kohler gets a strike. Johnson had a little trouble living up to last year's numbers. Had a very cold April. He was 2nd to Michael Kadire in the National League batting chase last year. Boy, just pounding that outside part. It's 0-2.
Boy, 2 perfect fastballs to Chris Johnson to get ahead 0-2.
Pitch 1 and 2 are right on top of each other.
That's like a dartboard.
Randi Institute, happy to be sponsoring Fox Tracks during this sequence. With Kohler, is 0-2. Soft ground ball is going to score a run. Kohler gets over, gets to the bag, and Johnson produces the first run of the night. The Braves are on the board. RBI number 40 for Chris Johnson. Fox Sports Supports is proud to collaborate. Stand Up to Cancer, groundbreaking initiative created to accelerate, innovate cancer research. It gets new therapies to patients quickly in order to save lives now. More information, visit foxsportsupports.com. Simmons pulls a ground ball. McGee across the diamond. And so Kohler limits the damage to just the 1 run. But it's 1-0 Atlanta. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Joe West, longtime Major League announcer. Now, he's done some singing, some country western singing. So when he came to the ballpark and knew that Kenny Rogers, not the former Texas Ranger, but the gambler, Kenny Rogers at the ballpark today.
Hey, down on the field, sporting a Braves jersey, #1.
Kenny happy to be here. Always a big baseball fan. And he's a big fan of the gecko, Tommy Hutton, because he's in the Geico ad where he's singing know when to fold them.
He's sitting at the
know when to
poker
hold
table, yeah.
And he's driving the guys nuts.
Driving them crazy.
Did he throw a no-hitter on the last day of the season?
Kenny Rogers. I know he threw a no-hitter. Mike Witt threw a no-hitter on the last day of the season.
I may be thinking Mike Witt. So Slovakia swings and misses.
Well, it's a good changeup from Tehran.
And Tehran has looked very good in his first 2 innings. A pair of strikeouts. He's retired all 6 that he's faced. Danny Echeverria, Tom Kohler also coming up here in the 3rd. There's your matchup tomorrow, 6:30 for Marlins Live. And Tehran, this is up. Count full. Marlins looking for their first base runner. A swing and a miss, and Saltalamacchia's bat just clipped Evan Gattis. But that's the third strikeout for Tehran. Copa Euro Americana. It's the soccer tournament between Europe and the Americas, and it's coming to Marlins Park in a few nights. Atletico Nacional against AS Monaco on Wednesday, the 23rd. So 2 nights away, 8 o'clock. Purchase your tickets now, 1-800-967-9393. Go to marlins.com/soccer.
Another thing that Tehran has been, he's been durable. Always love to look and see how many innings a pitcher gives a manager. 18 of his 20 starts, he's gone 6 or more innings. And that's impressive, Rich, but I was reading the other day about Felix Hernandez, King Felix. King Felix has had 12 straight starts where he's gone 7 or more innings and given up 2 runs or less.
Oh, 2. You know, for Seattle, Felix Hernandez, a guy that committed long-term to play in that city. And this year, it looks like Seattle is starting to turn the corner. Swing and a miss. He's one of those guys that you hope gets to pitch in the postseason.
But Tehran has them all working. Breaking ball to put away Echeverria.
And here comes Kohler. Well, you know what I mean? You don't want to be the Ernie Banks of...
Yeah. He's got the section down in left field.
Yeah, the King's Court.
Yeah. Got a feeling the Mariners could be hot and heavy by the trading deadline.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk soccer, that might be a group of death right there with Oakland. The Angels are red hot right now too, and they're a game and a half back.
We talked about it the other night. They beefed up their bullpen. They added Jason Grilli. They added Houston Street.
Pujols is playing like Pujols again. Mike Trout is Mike Trout. Kohler swings and misses. Julio Tehran is carving up Miami right now. The young right-hander is hot. Our broadcast schedule for the nenext 5 games. Braves, 6:30 across the board for Marlins Live, and then to Houston. Houston, we have Marlins Live at 7:30. Saturday at the Astros, an hour earlier, 6:30 start.
Let's hope in Houston we don't have a problem.
Well, the Marlins have a problem right now, and it's Julio Teheran, who has been dominant his first 3 innings. Mike Minor, Jacob Turner, the matchup tomorrow night. Nathan Eovaldi, Irvin Santana on Wednesday. Henderson Alvarez, Aaron Harang. By the way, Tommy Hutton, the Fox Sports Florida Fantasy Auction is coming up on the 29th. Pledge packs are right around the bend. Christian Yelich, what you got?
You're getting your DHL pledge pack. A black Fox Sports t-shirt, a red-orange Marlins hat, and a black Marlins hat. Christian Yelich bobblehead, a $25 gift certificate to the Cleveland Dirt, 4 Marlins tickets, Fox Sports Florida hat, and a Tommy Bahama Beach mat. Last but not least, a Christian Yelich autographed baseball.
Marlins.com/fantasy. Now, tomorrow night on Email and Twitter Tuesday, we will be selling some pledge packs by phone. I know that some of you don't purchase things over the computer and would like to buy them by phone. So tomorrow night is your opportunity. So far, we've been selling them just these last couple days over the internet, and we're almost halfway through them.
So we'll go a little old school tomorrow night.
Yeah, we have 200 total. We're approaching 100 right now that have already been sold, kind of the pre-sale. Tomorrow night's the big night. It's an Email Twitter Tuesday. So if you want to do it over the phone, tomorrow night is the night to do it. Don't wait, because those will go quickly, and these have already gone quickly. We've only had them out for a couple of days online. But a lot of terrific stuff in there. The Fox Sports 1 cap, the 2 different Marlin caps, red, orange, and black. The beach mat from Tommy Bahama. Cleveland, or $25 gift certificate. Tommy and I will be using ours the night of the auction. Tom Kohler with a sharp breaking ball for a strike, and a strikeout of Julio Teheran.
Well, we've seen Tom Kohler use the slider, curveball to perfection. Good one there to freeze Teheran.
As well, if you go on that site, Marlins.com/fantasy, you can also look at the big board items, many of the items that will be up for auction during the telecast on the 29th. And tomorrow night, Tommy, you and I will preview many of the items.
Okay. Talk a little golf, maybe?
Oh, your golf package is out of control. I mean, Lori Cardone, who is a friend of the foundations and a friend of the broadcasts, puts together an incredible golf package, which includes a round of golf with Tommy Hutton, but also the folks at Allianz and many of the fine courses in South Florida, up in Palm Beach and in Boca. Some great golf experiences. Tom Kohler, his 4th strikeout.
Boy, Kohler with 4 strikeouts. Teheran has 5. Neither has walked a batter. There's another just terrific breaking ball. Not only because it has that sharp, crisp bite to it, it's in a perfect location, too.
Here's Tommy La Stella. 2 for 4 yesterday. A 2-out, 3-run double in the 3rd was the big hit of the ball game.
One of the things you wonder, I know I was thinking about this coming here to Atlanta. If La Stella had not taken charge and taken advantage of the opportunity that was presented him, would Dan Uggla have been released? I know he was struggling. He struggled last year, but you know, it makes it a little easier to take if you're the Braves, even though you owe Uggla a lot of money. But it makes it a little easier to make that move when you have a guy who's really taken over like La Stella.
I guess the other alternative would be if La Stella wasn't ready or didn't respond the way he has, and Uggla was still scuffling mightily, Braves would have been in the market for a second baseman. And the Giants feeling like they'll take a shot, signing Uggla to a minor league deal. And you never know. We talked about it the last couple of ball games. Uggla was Frank Wren, fine general manager of the Braves. Uggla, a guy that when he was a Marlin played with a chip on his shoulder and played very, very well. Maybe he can get that chip back. Maybe he can get his swing back. Bouncer out to short. Echeverria. Nice short hop pick and a flip to first in time. 1-2-3 inning for Kohler, who was set down 6 in a row. Stanton coming up. Fourth inning, Atlanta 1-0 over the Marlins. Now, Giancarlo Stanton hasn't hit well in this ballpark, but against Julio Teheran in a different ballpark, Marlins Park, and it's our AT&T U-verse rewind. So you know it's going to be a long one, right? Oh, of course it is. I think that's 450 feet. 6 home runs of 450 or more. He just hit a 466-foot shot against the Giants.
Well, here's the thought on that. That's more than any team. And 5 of those 6 have been at Marlins Park.
Boy, the first time through, Julio Teheran just cut right through the Marlins. Retired all 9, 38 pitches, 29 strikes, 7 first pitch strikes, and 5 punch outs. So let's see what adjustments Miami makes, and let's see what adjustments Teheran makes. Yelich takes a couple down low. It's 2-0.
Yelich in his young career 3 for 12 against Teheran.
And of course, after talking about how great Teheran has been and how he's pounded the strike zone, he's fallen behind 3-0.
Yeah, all those first pitch strikes. And here's the 3-0 pitch. Ball 4.
And it's a wide one, and Yelich is aboard. So Miami has the leadoff runner on here in the 4th. Let's check into Preston Wilson down below. Preston?
Hey, guys. How's it going? You know, looking at Julio Teheran, one of the things that he went through in his career is they had to try to change his approach because he wasn't effective on both sides of the plate. So what they did was they moved him from the third base side over to the first base side, trying to give him control of both sides of the plate. But there were some consequences with that. He lost his breaking ball. So he had to retool. They moved him back to the middle of the rubber. And what you see now is the result. Control on both sides of the plate. Good breaking ball. The ball is always down in the zone. And an all-star appearance.
So what you're saying, Preston, is even in sports, reaching a compromise has a positive outcome.
Well, absolutely. Sometimes as athletes, we're stubborn because we've had success and we think the way that we've done things is the only way to do it. But he was humble enough to make those adjustments, and even though he struggled, it came at a cost. Eventually, it turned into something really big for him, and he's the dominant pitcher that we have now.
Valdespin, did he go? No swing. Counts 1-1.
I think the other interesting side of that is that even at the major league level, and Preston again can attest to this, be a hitter or pitcher, you're constantly making adjustments.
Well, you can't stop making adjustments because that's what everyone else is making adjustments to you. A lot of times when you see someone come to the major leagues and they make a big splash, if they disappear, it's because they quit making adjustments and the rest of the league hasn't. So the guys that are able to put their ego aside and learn and adjust are the guys that keep getting better. And Teheran is one of those examples.
An all-star season, 9-6 with a 2.71 ERA. All right, Preston, thanks. Preston with us here in Atlanta. A unique perspective. You put an ex-big leaguer down close to the action, and a lot of times you'll get some cool stuff that you don't see up here.
Preston with us on this entire trip in Houston as well.
Oh, in
I
Houston.
mean, he may be asked to DH in Houston.
He may have to make a visit to the Crawford boxes. Yelich, not a big lead. And Valdespin takes away, and it's 2-1. Yelich has 11 stolen bases. Giancarlo Stanton on deck. Yelich is running. Valdespin bangs it. Oh, Simmons with a terrific play. And he gets the out. He is the best defensive player in all of baseball. And Andrelton Simmons just showed you why.
I'll tell you what, maybe Echeverria, but maybe nobody else at short is going to make this play. Look at Simmons. He's moving because Yelich is moving. He has to put on the brakes, make the catch on a hard hit ball, and then somehow he reaches back. Watch this. Reaches back and just gets the bag in front of Yelich. That is remarkable.
So here is Stanton. What a big play for the Braves.
You're talking first and third, nobody out. If he doesn't make that play and that ball goes into left field.
You know, one of the nice things about all the new defensive metrics, runs saved, wins above replacement, things like that. A guy like Simmons just rises to the top. Stanton breaks his bat and hits a foul ball into the seats. You know, the interesting thing about that play, if we could see it again, is if you're Yelich, you're trying to steal the bag, and I think Yelich isn't quite sure exactly what's happening here.
You wonder if Simmons makes that play if he's not moving toward the bag. I know he had to go back a little bit. Any way you look at it, that was tremendous.
Because I think if Yelich, was trying to comprehend, okay, what's happening here? He sees Simmons come over. All of a sudden, the ball is there. He did not slide on the play, and he turned around and looked at first to see Valdespin at first.
You talk about the game, and this is what you hear high school, college, minor leagues. Talk about the game speeding up at this level. That was a perfect example.
Yeah, for both Simmons and for Yelich. And for Valdespin, who was robbed of a hit. Miami still does not have a hit here in the fourth inning. Stanton fouled it back. 1-2. The Dodgers are in Pittsburgh. And they have a 2-0 lead in the top of the 4th. Giants are in Philly. A 3-2 lead over the Phils in the bottom of the 3rd. 1-2 coming to Stanton. So that's a pretty good swings here in this at bat.
Yeah, he has. The Marlins have actually had 3 really good at bats in this inning. The walk by Yelich, Valdez being crushed his ball.
And a breaking ball. Stanton swings and misses.
Good AB that time. Tehran just put Giancarlo away with that good breaking ball. He thought he was on it, just didn't get a piece of it. In his career, right-handers against Julio Tehran hitting just .217. The slider to Stanton. First pitch to McGee. Curveball.
McGee called out on strikes, frozen on an 0-2 fastball that cut back across the plate. Now Valdespin runs, and a tapper by McGee to short. Simmons picks and throws and gets the out. Well, Andrelton Simmons certainly changed that half inning. 1-0 Atlanta. Palmetto 57 Nissan and Palmetto 57 Volkswagen. Home of your money-back guarantee. By Publix. For shopping is a pleasure. Visit us at Publix.com and by your South Florida Chevrolet dealers. Downtown Atlanta. Of course, the Braves won't be here much longer. They're headed out to Cobb County in 2017. The brand new 42,000 seat ballpark. And hotel, restaurant, shopping area as well. Freddie Freeman figures he'll be around.
I think Tehran will be around.
Freeman signed an 8-year, $135 million contract.
What's Tehran? 6 years.
Freeman struck out back in the first. Justin Upton, Jason Hayward against Tom Kohler. Bouncer brings Echeverria behind the bag. And Freeman is 0 for 2, and he continues his year-long struggle against Miami.
I think most players would say it doesn't happen. They don't think about it. But Tom Kohler knows he's in a matchup against a guy who's got great stuff. And right now he trails 1-0. And you want to say that, well, I'm just going to continue to pitch my game. But on the other hand, you know you can't make too many mistakes and allow the Braves to get any more.
Kohler gets a strike. Kohler 4 strikeouts. Tehran 6. Marlins do not have a hit. Tehran has walked 1. Justin Upton with a big swing, and he fouls it back.
Yeah, Justin Upton was hit by a pitch Sunday. Braves playing the Phillies. Kyle Kendrick caught him on the arm with a pitch.
Another sharp breaking ball, 87-mile-an-hour slider from Kohler. Head-to-head with these two coming into tonight. This would be round 3, 3rd time they've matched up. I guess the biggest difference there probably the walks and obviously the record.
But it's been close. It's been good toe-to-toe matchup.
Kohler has struck out 5 now to Tehran's 6. Hayward into center field. And it's a base hit. Ozuna picks it up. Jason Hayward with a pair of hits in the ballgame. He's 2 for 2. And that brings up Evan Gattis.
Remember the last time Tom Kohler pitched to Evan Gattis? He stayed with his pattern. Slider away, slider away. Got a couple of quick strikes. And then Gattis started to foul off some pitches. But notice how Kohler stayed away. There's another foul ball. Patience on both sides, but there it is. Breaking ball got Evan Gattis. So good pitching and a pretty good battle that time.
Away with a fastball. Dodgers had a couple of scares with Hanley Ramirez and Yasiel Puig both having X-rays. Left wrist for Hanley, left hand of Puig. They both came back Monday.
Neither in the lineup tonight, though, for the Dodgers.
I think Hanley may lead the National League in MRIs and X-rays. Pokes it into right. Stanton picks it up. And the Braves have something going with 2 outs here in the 4th.
Boy, what a perfect example of adjusting. That time, Gattis adjusted. So now Tom Kohler, the next time he faces him, he's going to have to show him something inside. Back him off a little bit. But Gattis is just looking everything away because that was a pretty good pitch. He knows he's not going to come inside, and he pokes it into right field. And really good aggressive base running by Hayward.
And here's where the depth of the Braves lineup comes into play. Now that Gattis is back, you slide Chris Johnson into the 7 spot, and it's Johnson who's up. Runners first and third, 2 outs. Johnson drove in a run with a ground ball out. Back in the 2nd.
What's the term you hear scouts and baseball people say? Yeah, that their lineup has length or depth.
Johnson, left center, Ozuna there, and he makes the catch. And Kohler gets out of the fourth. Terrific pitching tonight. Tom Kohler and Julio Teheran. That's our favorite. And look, the hammer and the brush are out front.
Yeah, something happened to the bucket. I think he pulled a hamstring early on.
Oh, the drill escapes, and they didn't get the bucket either. And, of course, the bucket. Oh, fill the bucket. We love him. And we love him for his post-race celebration. Wait for it. Wait for it.
A la a former Brave Deion Sanders.
You know, and watching the bucket walk off the field, I think there's resentment within the tools.
Yeah, the brush looked down.
The bucket was the only tool that the Braves offered a long-term contract to. The other tools are just approaching their first year of arbitration, where they've locked the bucket up into a long-term deal. They want him in that new ballpark.
Yeah,
too.
and I think the drill found out that he was put on waivers and then taken off.
Here's Garrett Jones. Marcell Ozuna, Jared Saltalamacchia will follow. Jones chops one out towards second. La Stella has it, flips to first. And Julio Teheran has the first out of the fifth inning. Tomorrow's Tilt brought to you by Checkers. Jacob Turner, Mike Minor. And, of course, Minor, a lefty, so expect some righty bats for Turner. Certainly something to prove for Jacob. He'll get the start. 6:30 for Marlins Live. If you're just happening by this one, Julio Teheran has been dynamite. A walk to Christian Yelich, the only blemish of the night for the 23-year-old right-hander out of Colombia.
That's an interesting alignment. Center fielder B.J. Upton actually shading Ozuna a little bit into right center. And we saw Simmons, the shortstop, he's well over in the hole at short. The big gap in left center.
One and two to Ozuna.
Well, Teheran, certainly a guy that when he was coming up in the organization just a few years ago, 2011 in AAA, Julio Teheran was 15-3 with a 2.55 ERA. So they knew they had something.
There's a hits by direction, so it might be that they're shifting to Tehran's game plan and how they're pitching Ozuna. They might as well have just taken a seat out there for that at bat. That's strikeout number 7.
Wow. Good stuff. He's getting ahead and utilizing his entire arsenal. Remember, we were talking about not a drastic shift with Garrett Jones, and seen the same thing with Salty up there. Simmons still stays on the left side of the infield. LaStella moves over way in the hole, but guy who has the best read on everything is Joe West out there at second.
Salty runs into one. Absolutely
one.
Crushes it. And it's out of here. And the game is tied. And the no-hitter is off the board. And Miami is on there. 1-1. Former Brave. Traded to Texas. Made his way to Boston. Now a Marlin. And he homers against Tehran with 2 outs here in the 5th.
Well, there haven't been many mistakes, if any. And that was the first one, and Tehran paid for it. Salty crushed it. So just like that, he erases the no-hitter, he erases the shutout, and he erases the lead. Change-up just kind of hung out over the plate.
Salty with a new haircut. And a solo homer. At Chavarria. Etch chases and it's 1-2. It was funny talking to Salty Lamacchia. The first time the Marlins came to Atlanta, it was his first time back since leaving for the American League. With Texas and then Boston.
I think it's always special for Salty to come back and play against the Braves. He was drafted by them in 2003.
Well, Tehran gives up the homer, and then he finishes with a flourish and strikes out Echeverria. High changeup, solo homer, tie game. Homer by Jared Saltalamacchia in the 5th. He struck out in the 3rd. We've talked about adjustments. Preston Wilson is field level. What adjustments did you see from the at-bat in the 3rd inning to the at-bat in the 5th?
Well, we talked earlier about pitchers making adjustments, but what we saw there in that Saltalamacchia at-bat was a hitter making an adjustment. In the first at-bat, Tehran threw him some really good changeup, and he swung and missed it. That at-bat, Saltalamacchia got a little crafty on him. He started looking for that changeup. Tehran made a mistake with it, and he was ready to make him pay. You don't always get it in the strike zone, but if you make an adjustment and they make a mistake, you can get what you got there. Home run result. Shutout, everything gone in one pitch.
Pitching's been dominant tonight, Preston, hasn't it?
It's been really good. Tehran is really doing a good job of keeping the Marlins off balance, throwing that good slider down and away, a really good changeup that he's using to lefties and righties. And Kohler's answered back. His curveball's been good. His slider's been excellent tonight. And he looks like he's pitching a little bit of chip on his shoulder because his fastball's got a little hop on it, too.
All right, thank you, Preston.
And all of a sudden, Tom Kohler back in this game, 1-1.
Andrelton Simmons, Julio Tehran, and then B.J. Upton, 8-9-1 in the Braves order. Halfway through in Atlanta, bottom 5. Breaking ball misses in. Simmons, a guy that is into early action, as they say. He's a guy that early in the count is going to put it in place. One of the most difficult every year to strike out. Right now, he's the toughest in the National League to strike out.
Well, the early action, Rich, is part of that because he's not a good 2-strike hitter.
Well, he doesn't walk either.
Yeah, he doesn't walk, so that's why he jumps on everything early.
Echeverria on to first in time. Tommy Hutton, did you know that baseball is better when you share it with your friends? You can share your photos on Instagram, engage on Twitter or Facebook, or visit the On Cloud Conine blog for an offbeat look at the fish. Go to marlins.com/connect. Get you a full roster of Marlin players on Twitter. #GoFish. One of our most ardent fans and a guy that uses social media constantly. George tonight celebrating his 87th birthday in Bellevue, Washington. Watches every game. So happy birthday, George.
I'm just I'm thrilled that George at 86, you said?
87.
87 is on social media. I'm impressed at that.
He was a Mariner fan for many years, but has turned his allegiance eastward. That's the beauty of DirecTV. Tommy Hutton, swing and a miss. Down goes Julio Tehran. And so Kohler gets 2 quick outs here in the 5th.
The other reason for that, Rich, is as you age, get a little older, and when you're on the West Coast, Marlins games are on earlier.
Are you saying we're like the blue light special of baseball, the early bird special? That one fouled back to the screen. Where did I get blue light? That's Kmart, right?
Blue plate.
The blue plate. Thank you.
There are some blue light specials we shouldn't really talk about, actually.
Here's the 0-1. B.J. Upton has bounced out, struck out. McGee slides on his feet, makes the play. Nice job. 10-pitch inning for Tom Kohler to the 6th in Atlanta. Good ball game. 1-1 ball game. Marlins and Braves. in Atlanta. Some cold beverages out on the Budweiser porch in right field. Palmetto 57 Nissan and Palmetto 57 Volkswagen leaderboard. Innings pitched by starters per start, and the Braves have been able to get deep. 6.3. The Reds, the Braves, the Phillies, the Brewers, the Dodgers, and
It's
you
a
can
pretty
see
good
the Marlins.
story. That's a pretty good story right there.
The Marlins at 25th, 5.8.
Really, the one team on that list really out of contention, the Phillies. But all those other teams in contention.
Back to work goes Tehran, and it's Kohler who leads off. Yelich, Valdespin. So 9-1-2 for the Fish. And a breaking ball from Tehran misses in. Julio Tehran did not give up a hit until 2 out in the 5th inning. And when he did give up a hit, it was a solo homer to Jared Saltalamacchia.
With Tehran with the 8 strikeouts, his career high is 11. Done that a couple of times. Obviously, he has the physical talent, and one of the other reasons the Braves signed him to that 6-year contract. You always hear about his work ethic. Solid athlete, solid guy.
It's down low, and Kohler has worked a full count out of him. You combine the 2 starters, the 10 innings that they've worked, just 5 hits combined, the 2 runs combined, 14 strikeouts and 1 walk. And this is the top of the 6th. Kohler goes down. Well, there's your 9th strikeout for Tehran. Every strikeout, every game ender, every history-making moment on MLB Whip Around. Weeknights, 10 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
Remember, last time up for Christian Yelich, he did not see a strike. 4 straight balls.
Yelich, Freeman cuts it off, and Tehran is over.
I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting close to putting Freddie Freeman into the, as far as right-handed fielding first baseman. So many first basemen that we talk about that over the years have been terrific fielders were left-handed, but getting close to putting Freddie Freeman in the Derek Lee category.
I knew you were going to end up at Derek Lee somehow at the end of that thought. Is Derek Lee the best right-handed first baseman that you come across in the last 20, 30 years?
Yeah, I'd have to say yes. Not only did he have the height to give infielders a great target, but he had the hands. He had the soft hands. He could make good throws. Freddie Freeman not quite as tall as D. Lee.
Give me another right-handed first baseman.
Yeah, you got me thinking. I'm thinking on that.
Well, Pujols won a Gold Glove, but I don't think
He
he's
had good
ever,
hands, not a lot of range.
right. I don't think he's ever been seen as a premium defensive first baseman. Breaking ball in.
Jeff Bagwell wasn't bad.
Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt haven't seen enough, but yeah, he's won a Gold Glove.
Three and one to Miami second baseman Jordany Valdespin.
Not Steve Garvey. Steve Garvey always had a great fielding percentage because he did have good hands, but he would not make throws. He wasn't a real aggressive first baseman.
So his range factor and UZR were probably average.
Yeah.
Three-two. Valdespin rips it over the head of Freeman. Into the corner goes Hayward. Round first. Valdespin on his way to second. And he arrives with a head-first slide and a double.
You kind of had the feeling you'd see something pretty decent to hit, mainly because Stanton was on deck. And you had the feeling that Tehran certainly didn't want to face Giancarlo. So he got a fastball up. First two ABs, he saw a lot of breaking pitches. So Valdespin, a good fastball hitter. We'll see how they decide to work to Stanton with first base open. I'm really anxious to see Stanton because I thought Giancarlo had some good swings and a good approach in the fourth inning, even though it ended in a strikeout.
Struck out on a breaking ball. That finished the at bat in the fourth. Let's see how they do pitch to him. Fastball in, 1-0. Of course, what has been successful for the Marlins this year, and this is when Stanton, and for all but about 2.5 weeks, Stanton has done this. When he takes his walks, he's got McGee behind him. Slow tapper, and a quick release by Simmons gets Stanton at first. And Miami is done in the sixth.
Don't push me cause I'm standing on the edge. Don't push me, I might fall off the ledge. If I only had some funds and someone to hedge. Can I hold the door open? Can I just be a wedge? Trapped in this world with people but alone. Stuck in this room with a razor going home.
Great pitchers duel. A solo homer by Jared Saltalamacchia. The bucket wins the race. And here we are in the bottom of the sixth on a gorgeous night in Atlanta in a 1-1 game. Tom Kohler, Julio Teheran. Tommy La Stella.
Boy, nice job of pouring in strikes, and for Kohler, that was pitch number 66. 16 out of 20 in first pitch strikes.
La Stella takes outside. Tommy La Stella is 0 for 2. You got Freddie Freeman, Justin Upton, so 2, 3, 4 for the Braves. Kohler 6 strikeouts. Julio Teheran has gone 6 innings, 9 strikeouts.
You know, the early line on La Stella when he first joined the Braves that he could swing the bat. They were a little concerned with his fielding, but by all accounts, he's done a solid job defensively.
Valdespin. Going out here in the 6th. Latest news highlights surrounding the Miami Dolphins. Check out Phinsiders weekdays 5 on Fox Sports Florida. Live interviews, unique access from players, coaches, and more. 5 o'clock, Fox Sports Florida, Phinsiders. Freeman takes a breaking ball for a strike. And Kohler quickly out in front, 0-2. Freddie Freeman 0 for 2 in this one. Toyota trend. Innings played. We just saw Hunter Pence. Just saw Paul Goldschmidt. Charlie Castro on that list. Eric Hosmer as well. Jones.
Oh, nice pick.
Reacts. Kohler gets to the bag, and Freeman is 0 for 3.
Talking to Perry Hill last night on the plane coming here to Atlanta. He's really been pleased at the progress, at the work that Garrett Jones has put in defensively. He's taken time to improve, to make himself a better first baseman, and he shows it here. He gets down, and all of a sudden he gets that bad hop. Comes up, he stays with it. Nice play.
Stay wide. One of the things Perry Hill talks about. Now Justin Upton. A single and a strikeout and a liner and another base hit. A 2-out hit for Upton. And Kohler has to face Jason Hayward, who is 2 for 2 against him.
Well, Hayward got a 2-out base hit in the 4th inning.
Echeverria on to first, and Jones dropped it. May not have scooped it. It was low. Tough to tell if it bounced before it got to him. It may have been one of those in-between balls.
I also want to see if Echeverria had to play at second just to get the force there, as opposed to going across the diamond. I think he had time there, but elected to go across the diamond. The throw low, but I'm not sure if it was that low, if it was catchable. You can see the reaction of Tom Kohler. He thought he was out of the inning. It'll be an error. We'll have to see if it's on Echeverria or Garrett Jones.
Right now it goes to Echeverria, but it's one of those I suspect they will look at again. That's an error on Jones.
Yeah, it didn't short hop him.
Yeah, that'll be changed to an E3. Now Gaddis. In his last at bat, Evan Gaddis, who struck out in the second on a breaking ball that was out, leaned out over the plate and punched a single to right.
Yeah, it's high time that Tom Kohler fires something in off the plate, just to keep him honest up there. If not, he'll start leaning again out over the plate.
And he's so big and strong that if he just gets his bat on it. he can be trouble.
I mean, the bottom line, you want to get him out there, but you have to show him that you can get inside too.
And there's why down and away is the best spot to go. Getting up and in on him is not easy. He's one of those hitters that does crowd and kind of lean out over the plate. And of course, if you miss down a little bit, it goes from 211 to 370 when it gets belt high. Kohler's gone 3-0 on it.
Boy, this is one of those situations where no, Tom Kohler shouldn't be out there. He should be in the dugout. The inning should be over. But he is out there, and he's going to have to make some good pitches. If not to Gaddis, to the guy on deck, Chris Johnson, who might be their hottest hitter right now.
Gaddis just off the disabled list.
I'm guessing he'd have the green light here, too.
And they get anything to swing at. Walked him on 4 pitches. And here comes Johnson. Well, the error by Jones, a big one. It opens the door for the Braves. And the Braves right now have a foot in that door, trying to get all the way through and get a run across. Chuck Hernandez on his way out to talk to Kohler.
This is the point right now, just encouraging Kohler, just to say, look, you shouldn't be out here, but you know what? You got to get an out. Just need one out, tough hitter, make your pitches. Talked about Chris Johnson, a 5-game hitting streak, 4 home runs and 10 RBIs during that streak.
A.J. Ramos in Miami's pen. Bags loaded. No place to put Johnson. And he fouls a pitch off.
Good fastball, 94.
His career with the bags loaded, a couple of grand slams. Whether he was an Astro or a Diamondback, and now with the Braves, Chris Johnson has always had that sweet swing.
He's always had that inside out swing where he fights off pitches in. Every once in a while he'll fool you, he'll cheat on that pitch and pull it.
Into the bat, and it's a foul ball. Kohler out in front, 0-2. Got him! Came in with a fastball. Good call by Saltalamacchia. Good execution by Kohler. And he leaves him loaded in the 6th. Marlins and Braves. Tom Kohler thought he was out of that inning. Here's the last pitch. Good running fastball.
That's interesting. The target was away, but this ball moves so much that it was a great pitch to strike out a really tough hitter.
All business after the pitch. And then Garrett Jones coming over quickly.
That's good to see.
So a 1-1 game, a terrific matchup here tonight. Tom Kohler has struck out 7. As you can see, 81 pitches. Julio Teheran has thrown one more pitch, 82, and he has struck out 9. Casey McGee, Garrett Jones, Marcell Ozuna in the 7th. McGee in 0 for 2. He has struck out and bounced out.
Casey working on a 7-game hitting streak.
McGee cracks one into left field. A base hit, 8-game hitting streak. And a leadoff hit here in the 7th. A shout out to our watch party at Duffy's Sports Grill in the Grove. Philly is always in the middle of the ladies.
Yeah, he is.
With a big smile on his face.
The other thing, Rich, about Casey McGee now, you mentioned the 8-game hitting streak. He's hit in 22 of his last 23.
Garrett Jones. They count 1 ball and 1 strike.
Garrett Jones a couple of career hits, 2 for 13 against Teheran, but one of those a home run.
Two and 1. Jones has pulled 2 ground balls to the right side. Then you've got Ozuna. And it's been a tough night for Ozuna. He has struck out twice. Of course, Teheran has struck out 9.
Seven of those 9 strikeouts have come from Ozuna 2, Saltalamacchia 1, Echeverria 2, and Kohler 2.
There's your Marlins box score. The big one there is that one next to Saltalamacchia's name. That was a changeup that floated in, and Salty put it in the seats in right field. 2-2. Not a big lead by McGee at first. Jones pounds one foul. Checkers bring you Fox Tracks. Dodgers have opened up a 5-2 lead in Pittsburgh. Phillies have come back and are beating the Giants 4-3, bottom of the 5th in Philly.
Boy, terrific battle going on.
The Nationals are in Denver. The Rockies and the Nationals scoreless, top of the second. Milwaukee and Cincinnati in Milwaukee, 1-0. Milwaukee bottom third.
Got to Matt Lato start for the Reds.
Cardinals are not in action. Milwaukee and St. Louis tied atop the Central. Los Angeles and San Francisco tied atop the West. Braves and Nationals tied in the East. Evan Gattis out allows us to remind you that if you would like to celebrate your birthday with a sea creature, you can do it from a private field level party area. And your child will also be the honorary starter for the Great Sea Race. Enjoy a visit from the Sea Creatures and inclusive food package and much more. Marlins.com/groups. That's a foul ball. Alan Porter had to get up and over that one. And this long at bat with a lot of good swings against a hot pitcher continues. Perry Hill also escaping harm. I can count up to 8. So this would be number 9. Jones has seen everything he has.
It's a tough call. I don't think Casey McGee will be running, but I mean, he could. Sometimes you try to put a little pressure, get to this part of the lineup, but then you put some pressure on Garrett Jones to make contact.
Not running. Jones does make contact. It's into right. Hayward covers a lot of ground out there, and he makes the catch.
Well, sometimes those long at bats end up with a base hit. Sometimes they don't, but it was a good one by Jones.
Preston Wilson has been down below with a field level view. We talked about the adjustment Saltalamacchia made after his strikeout. He then homered. Ozuna has punched out twice. What have you seen from Ozuna tonight?
Well, I've seen that they've really been trying to make him roll over the ball. The soft stuff, they seem to take a lot more off on Ozuna. Late in the count, they've tried to go up on him. So right now, he's really going to try to keyhole him a little bit to try to get that ball in the middle of the plate, because by the shift that they're playing him, where they're playing him away in outfield and on the ground they're playing him pulled, that's showing that if he hits a fastball, they want him to hit it the other way. If he hits a breaking ball, they're going to try to slow it down enough where he hits into that real strong shift that they have.
Preston, how many hitters even look at shifts, and especially young hitters?
Young hitters, I think, especially look at it, and sometimes it's a ploy by managers to get a young hitter's attention looking at it, because when it really comes down to it, you are who you are as a hitter, and you can only hit the ball where the pitcher allows you as far as the location of the pitches. So sometimes when you get a young hitter and you know they're that maybe a guy who thinks a lot, you can get him looking out there and see if they'll try to alter their swing and really lose what makes them a good hitter.
All right, thank you, Preston. That one fouled back to the screen.
And in this case, you have a little less of a shift because Simmons has to cheat just a little, a step or two, in anticipation of a double play. So he's not quite as far over in the hole as he was.
Tehran has got Ozuna 1 and 2. And he's pitching to that shift.
Tried to get him to chase that hard stuff up.
McGee still at first. 2-2 to Ozuna. And he cracks it into right field for a base hit.
And crosses up the shift a little bit. Good swing by Marcell Ozuna. Good job. Boy, he stayed right on that ball. They They went hard stuff away, and that's exactly where Ozuna hit it. Hard and away.
You heard Preston talking about rolling over. No rolling over on that one. Do you think Saltalamacchia sees a changeup?
Well, if he does, I'm sure Tehran would like to keep it down a little bit.
First and second, one out. And Salty gets an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. This one came in the low 80s, and it left a lot faster than that.
I think one of the things we've seen from Tehran, the variation of speeds in his fastball. He's throwing fastballs 88, 89. He's throwing fastballs 93, 94.
He's a great example of a guy that doesn't have to throw mid-90s to dominate, because he has dominated tonight.
Oh, something we talked about in the scouting report on him. Very easy delivery, not a max effort guy. He's not out there trying to throw every pitch 95 miles an hour.
McGee at second. You've got Ozuna at first. Pretty good speed with the trail runner. And the 1-1 is outside.
Tell you, another really good number for Tehran. Pitching here at Turner Field. This year at home in 9 starts. Julio Tehran 3-1 with a 1.23 ERA coming into this game.
Chasen Shreve, the lefty.
Well, if not for Casey McGee, that ball would have gone into center field.
Don't rub it. Saltalamacchia was on that pitch.
He was.
Tehran in this building has been dynamite, and if you back it up just 5 starts coming into this one, 0-7-1, and tonight he's allowed just the 1 run through 6 innings.
You notice number 2 on that list.
And Saltalamacchia strikes out. High fastball.
Let's see where Evan Gaddis, the catcher, set up. In. Kind of drifted away, but he got it up enough. Strikeout number 10.
You noted where all the strikeouts have come from. Gaddis and Tehran have been on the same page. It's been that bottom of the order. Ozuna 2, Saltalamacchia 2, Kohler 2, and Echeverria 2. And here's Echeverria. Redmond
probably has Reed Johnson down there with the bat.
Yep. I spotted him right behind him.
There's a veteran pinch hitter who's had a terrific year and one time was a Brave.
And the crowd trying to get Tehran through it. Miami with runners first and second, 2 outs. An 0-2 coming to Echeverria.
Got to figure, too, this is going to be it for Tehran. He's up second next inning. He's gone over 100 pitches, 107 now.
One-two. Got him. Echeverria strikes out. And Miami leaves 2 here in the 7th. 7th inning stretch, still 1-1.
Has been on the top of his game, tying a career high with 11 strikeouts. Tom Koehler has been magnificent as well. Koehler with 7 strikeouts. He's got things working, the fastball, the curve, the slider. The Braves got their run in the 2nd inning on a ground ball out. Chris Johnson hitting the ground ball, runners at 2nd and 3rd. The Braves had a 1-0 lead, but I tell you what, that was erased in a hurry on a changeup out over the plate. Probably the only bad pitch that Tehran has made tonight. Jared Saltalamacchia, home run number 10, tied the game 1-1. We had a pitching matchup similar to this earlier in the year. Jose Fernandez struck out 14. Alex Wood, the left-hander, the Braves struck out 11. And here we are again, a 1-1 tie and a pitching duel.
And Koehler only at 81 pitches. As the bottom of the 7th arrives, Andrelton Simmons, pitcher spot, and Ryan Doman has appeared on deck. And then you've got B.J. Upton. And so if Koehler can get through this inning intact, it would, in all likelihood, be his last inning. He's due up first next inning.
The other thing, Rich, if he gets through this inning, it'll be back-to-back games with the starter going 7 innings. And we haven't seen that a whole lot lately. Nice job of Brad Hand yesterday.
Two and 1 to Simmons. Brad Hand was outstanding, picking up just his 2nd win as a starter in his career, his 1st win of the season. 2 runs, out pitching Tim Lincecum, who gave up 3.
You know, earlier we talked about the consistency of Tehran. For Tom Koehler, All of a sudden now 14 of his 20 starts, 6 or more innings.
That is a rare walk for Andrelton Simmons. And let's see, it probably will change Freddie Gonzalez's choice of hitters.
Yeah, I think with nobody on, he had Ryan Domit ready. Now he's probably looks like Jordan Schaefer, a guy who's a little better punter, has more speed, and it's going to be Schaefer.
Well, that adds a little intrigue to the situation because Schaefer has the type of speed that if you're not careful on what looks like a sacrifice bunt attempt, if you don't act quickly, he'll beat it out. He has that type of speed.
It's a balk.
Freddie Gonzalez yelling that's a balk.
We had Freddie all mic'd up for one pitch. There's Schaefer's bunt. It's a hard one, and McGee gets the out there, and that's it. Well, Schaefer really belted that one, and McGee made a clean throw.
Good decision. Good job by Casey McGee to come in charge. Got his body in a good position to field and make a strong throw. And no chance for Echeverria to turn a double play. Now you have to be alive. We talked about Schaefer's speed. He's stolen 14 out of 15 in limited time.
In a 1-1 ball game with one out, it's a pretty good bet that he's going to be on the move here before too long. It's close.
Terry Pendleton, first base coach, saying something to first base umpire Alan Porter.
And Schaefer right now is pointing not at Porter. Well, actually, he was pointing at Porter and pointing at Kohler as well.
Well, they're thinking that he's balking.
He's running. Saltalamacchia won't even throw.
Well, we knew he wouldn't waste any time. And even though Kohler went to the plate quickly, Schaefer still got a great jump. Who only has on the year 70 at bats. Of course, he's done some pinch running. Jordan Schaefer steals his 16th bag, 15th bag.
And that's one of the reasons he's here as a bench player. You can use him as a pinch hitter, a defensive replacement, and as a guy that can steal you a base late in the game. B.J. Upton, 0 for 3. He hit a hot smash to the left of McGee to end the fifth. And you've got La Stella and then Freeman. Center, Ozuna. There, makes the catch. Schaefer tags on his way to third, and he's there. So a deep drive by B.J. Upton. The park holds it. Schaefer is now 90 feet away. La Stella comes up, and there are 2 outs. AT fan photo, hashtag FL fan photo, tweet your photo, and you might end up, let's see what the blue ribbon panel has come up with. Sherman.
Well, looking good in the fan photo, Sherman.
With the bobbleheads behind him. Chuck Hernandez on his way out. Or excuse me, it's Mike Redmond.
Yeah, I think he just wants to get the matchup in his favor. He wants a left-hander to face La Stella, even though Tom Kohler has retired Tommy La Stella all 3 times.
You could see Kohler's mood. Wes Kendall called to the bullpen in a 1-1 game. Tommy La Stella, who had the big hit yesterday to beat the Phillies up in the bottom of the 7th with 2 outs, and Jordan Schaefer 90 feet away at third base.
Yeah, I think Tom Kohler thinking about a couple of things. He's thinking about the leadoff walk to Andrelton Simmons. Then he's thinking about coming out of the game. I mean, he's old school. He wanted to stay in the game. Mike Redmond won the matchup, so he goes with Mike Dunn against the lefty La Stella.
Mike Dunn and Tommy La Stella meet. Dunn, the former Atlanta Brave. Freddie Freeman on deck, another lefty. A lot of big hits for La Stella in his short stay in the big leagues. Dunn with a breaking ball for a strike. It's amazing for La Stella. He's at 21 RBIs. He had a 2-out bases clearing double yesterday. So bags loaded, a double that clears the bases. It's the 3rd time he's done that this year.
Well, it's one of the reasons that he's the everyday second baseman now. Last year in Double-A, La Stella hit .343 in a little over 80 games.
See what the 1-2 brings. Chopper, Jones, Dunn is there, makes the catch, and the inning is over. And Mike Dunn finishes the 7th, but this game a long ways from done. A 1-1 game.
Starting spot, your tonight's French hostess.
Hey, you two. All right, fantasy auction time. Fantasy auction. You can go there right now, marlins.com/fantasy, and you can contribute to the cause, the Marlins Foundation, with a pledge pack. All the stuff that you get in the pledge pack: 2 Marlin caps, red, orange, and black, a Fox Sports 1 cap, an autographed, authenticated Christian Yelich autographed baseball, Christian Yelich bobblehead, the DHL pledge packs. Also get a Fox Sports Florida dry fit shirt, $25 gift certificate to the Clevelander and Tommy Bahama beach mat, and 4 tickets to a Marlins game. How about that?
I saw that beach mat. That's pretty cool.
It's a $150 donation, and it gets us going towards the fantasy auction. It's all for the kids.
All for the Marlins Community Foundation.
That's right. Last year we raised over $100,000. That's our goal this year.
To be distributed amongst many, many charities in South Florida. Jordan Walden, we've seen him many times. He of the unique delivery. Almost jumps at the hitters.
Reed Johnson rolls it up the middle. When Andrelton Simmons bounces a throw, he's got Freddie Freeman over there to help him out, and Freeman does just that. So Walden throws a pitch and gets it out.
Yeah, last couple of years for Reed Johnson with the Braves, and as well liked here in Atlanta as he is in Miami.
Yelich in 0 for 2. He's walked and bounced out twice. Of course, everybody's at bats, save Reed Johnson's against Julio Teheran. And if you've just joined us, Teheran, 7 dynamite innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. But Tom Kohler was very impressive. 6 2/3, 5 hits, a run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts.
Well, the only run the Braves got to was in that second inning. They had back-to-back hits, and with runners at second and third on a ground ball. That was their only run. Mostly fastballs and sliders from Walden, but it's his delivery that really kind of gets you a little jumpy in the batter's box.
.95 right at you would get you jumpy.
That'll get you jumpy too.
We saw his delivery last year and thought it quite unique, and then saw Carter Capps, who has a similar delivery. Yelich reaches down, strokes it into center field for a base hit, and Miami has a base runner aboard here in the 8th.
And again, we thought it with Schaefer, when the Braves had Schaefer at first base, and you think the same thing with Christian Yelich. You think of that stolen base. So we'll see what happens.
Jordani Valdespin. Valdespin has hit the ball well tonight. He doubled in the 6th. He hit the smash up the middle on a run and hit that Simmons made the incredible acrobatic catch and got the out at second. Yelich was running at the time, and he may be going here.
Yeah, you're right. Valdespin probably had 2 of the better at bats off Tehran tonight.
Yelich not a guy that gets a big lead, but he is in an upright spot, and he goes from 0 to 60 pretty quickly. It does not take long for him to get to full speed.
I think it's another area of his game. As he gets more experience, you'll see him even be more successful in stealing bases. 2020 guy, yes, somewhere down the road, that'll be Christian Yelich.
He's running, and Valdespin hits a fly ball left field line and into the seats, and the count's 0-2. Yelich actually was sprinting back to first. He wasn't sure if the ball was caught down the line there by Upton or not. He looked up, saw the ball and Upton go into the wall, and didn't wait around to see what happened.
That's when you have to be careful. You don't want to get decoyed by the shortstop or the second baseman.
Valdespin fouls it back.
Alex Gonzalez and Luis Castillo used to be good at that. They'd almost pretend they were turning a double play on a shallow pop fly.
In that Gabe Kapler article on FoxSports.com this weekend, one of the guys he compared him to, I think you and I did as well earlier in the season, Sean Green.
Yeah, Sean Green didn't have the speed that Yelich had. Probably a little more power, but it's a very good comparison build-wise. Both tall, slender.
If you want to go back another generation of players, Vaughn Hayes of the Phillies, another guy. Swing and a miss. Valdespin strikes out. And so Walden has 2 outs. Yelich is at first. Here is Stanton.
I don't think here you have to steal. I think you maybe when you get to 2 strikes, if it gets that far with Giancarlo, but I think up until then, I mean, he can hit a ball in the gap and Yelich is going to score.
A strike to Stanton. Well, he's going to get to second. And we'll see how that affects the at-bat of Stanton's. Gaddis, almost on cue, is on his way out to talk to his relief pitcher.
Yeah, and you almost wonder if that's a conversation about that last pitch or if it's a conversation about the next few pitches.
There's McGee, who was 1 for 3. Stanton 0 for 3. Not a lot of hits for either ball club, just 5 apiece.
You almost get the feeling that it's good that the count's 1-2. 2-1, they may be careful, but now that it's 1-2, they think they can get him out, and they may make a mistake. No mistake.
And Walden does get him out. He strikes out Stanton, and the Marlins leave a runner in scoring position. Bottom of the 8th in Atlanta coming up. 1-1 still. Terrible at bat. Terrible. Marlins and Braves. Don't stare into those evil eyes too long, Tommy Hutton.
That freaks me out.
Instead, go to MLB.com and download the At Bat for your iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10, or Windows Phone 8. Don't get freaked out. Score, stats, highlights, and more. Text At Bat 31826. Go to Marlins.com for details. AJ Ramos. Back and forth they go. Miami and Atlanta in a 1-1 game. Both the clubs have had opportunities with base runners. The Marlins with the runners in scoring position in the last 3 innings, but nary a run.
I think if he had to do it over again, Giancarlo would rethink his last at bat.
Freddie Freeman now. Freeman, Upton, and Hayward. Look at those numbers. 2 for 39.
That's incredible. Because if you take away Freddie Freeman's at-bats against the Marlins, he's hitting over 300 against everybody else.
Take away his at-bats against the Marlins this year.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that has still hurt Miami. Ramos strikes him out.
2 for 40 this year. This is a good curveball from AJ Ramos. It's nice to have him back coming out of the bullpen.
Now Justin Upton. 2 bats who have been productive in this ball game. Justin Upton, Jason Hayward. Oh, 0-1.
Mask kind of turned sideways. Of course, remember, Salty spent a little over a week on the concussion disabled list.
He's got the illuminating tape on the fingertips in a night game. slow roller. Valdespin, tricky hop, bare hands, and gets him. That's the luxury of playing second base. When you get a hop like that, if you just knock it down, you can still make the play.
You get away with that at second, at first, at third, but short, you got to pick everything cleanly. There's the bobble. Upton maybe not 100% up the line, and that even makes it a little more easy to complete the play.
There is Jason Hayward. He's 2 for 3. That Giants-Phillies game has gone back and forth a couple times. Giants had an early lead, then Phillies were up 4-3. It's now 6-4 San Francisco, top 7.
A lot of scouts at that game checking on Cliff Lee. And Cliff Lee in 5 2/3 innings gave up 12 hits and 6 runs.
Jimmy Rollins' name has been popping up as well in a lot of places. Jonathan Papelbon and Jimmy Rollins, one writer thought would be a perfect fit in Detroit. 3-0 to Hayward. Rollins in that ball game has knocked in 2 runs. Hayward fouls it off. The Giants have a home run from Adam Duvall. Duvall playing first base. Brandon Belt placed on the concussion list.
That happened in Miami.
And so Duvall called up and he's homered. Count full now on Jason Hayward. A.J. Ramos in relief from the bottom of the 8th in a 1-1 game. The opener of a 4-game set. Got him. A.J. Ramos, a perfect 8. To the 9th we go in Atlanta. Nothing decided yet. Marlins and Braves 1-1. Marcell Ozuna coming up in the 9th. That is the signature song of one of the best relievers of his time. Craig Kimbrell has had an incredible ride here in Atlanta, and he arrives here, his 41st appearance. This is not a save situation. It's a 1-1 ball game, and the Braves closer is out of the pen. Opponent's hitting just 32 against him.
Boy, that's amazing. And even though it's not a save situation, he picked up his 30th save Friday night. 4th consecutive season, 30 or more saves. Of course, last year he had 50. The year before, 42. And in his rookie season, 46. So you're right. He has been the premier closer in the National League the last few years.
And he does it in a not so subtle way. Of all the relievers who have 150 saves, Kimbrel has this highest strikeout percentage of all time. 43% is his strikeout percentage. Casey McGee takes a fastball that is up.
So he doesn't come in and try to trick him.
No. 43% of the batters he's faced in the regular season. Billy Wagner is second on that list. Brad Lidge, Francisco Rodriguez. Armando Benitez is 5th on that list, tied with John Smoltz. Or as Jack McKeon would say, Benitez.
Benitez.
That pitch missed.
Yeah, crowd
like
wanted it, but we saw it on Fox Tracks. Just have to show the crowd Fox Tracks.
McGee goes after the 2-0 fastball and fouls it back. And it's 2-1.
Casey, a base hit last time up. 8-game hitting streak. 22 of 23 he's hitting. Average at 322.
At the knees.
That's 97 at the knees, and Case McGee thought it was outside. Sound like he's saying that to Rob Drake.
Nope. Plenty of the plate.
That's just a perfect pitch.
Missed up. It counts 3-2. For Kimbrel, he's coming off his 4th All-Star game appearance. Pitched an inning, struck out 3. The only base runner came on a Freddie Freeman error.
A tough play, too. I remember seeing that play in the All-Star game, and a tough error.
But it was an all-star score, so.
Got to make that play in the All-Star game.
That's right. Higher standard. Now, I'm going to say a name, and it might bring back memories of an at-bat earlier this year. Kimbrel right now is tied with Trevor Rosenthal with a major league lead, 30 saves. And of course, McGee had that epic at-bat in St. Louis, fighting off fastball after fastball. The 3-2. It's out, and McGee walks.
That's a good job. Good AB. That's a battle for any hitter against Kimbrel.
It's one of the things, and we talked about that article, Christina Carl's article on ESPN.com, the Sweet Spot blog. One of the things about McGee's season is his walk rate is up over his career. The numbers that McGee has put up, that's one of the numbers that people don't talk about. His on-base percentage is high.
It was one of the things, Rich, that Casey told us all the way back in spring training as to his time in Japan made him a better hitter, and one of the things I remember him saying, he became a more patient hitter over there.
Jones, a ground ball in the right field, base hit. McGee around second, headed for third. Up with the ball, Hayward, and the throw is cut at the corners with nobody out. McGee a walk, Jones a single, and here comes Ozuna.
Yeah, what a nice way to get things started in the top half of the ninth against one of the best. Good base running by Casey McGee. Love to have that hole open on the right side. Chopper gets through. Casey never hesitates, picks up Brett Butler, and makes it to third base easily. Takes a peek over his shoulder. he saw where Hayward was playing. He was playing back, so that gave him time to get to third.
Now Ozuna, and we'll see how the Braves play it up the middle. Up the middle, you've got Simmons and La Stella, and they're back. So the Braves, for a ground ball up the middle, are going to give up a run. If you're Ozuna and you can just put it in play up the middle, you can untie the game.
And the amazing thing, that sounds so easy, except you have a guy like Craig Kimbrell out there throwing 97, 98.
Who has the best strikeout percentage of any closer in Major League history. 43% of the hitters he faces, he strikes out. But not the first two in this inning. But Ozuna looks absolutely lost right now, behind in the count 0-2.
Well, he jacked that one up to 99.
If he stays with the Heat, still at 99.
The Marlins won yesterday on a wild pitch.
Cishek getting ready.
Marlins scored that third run.
One, two. It's out. If you're Kimbrell, do you throw him something off speed? I mean, he's shown 98, 99.
He really, to this point, hasn't thrown a lot of sliders, so I don't know if he has good feel for it now. Look at it. You talk about consistency.
That's ridiculous. that is just absolutely ridiculous. So if you could throw 99, why not throw it again? He missed.
See, I just don't think he has the feel. I'll tell you what, if he threw a slider and got it close to the plate, he'd fool everybody in the ballpark.
Well, Ozuna digs in. McGee at third, Jones at first, Kimbrell staring in. 3-2 coming. Ball four outside. Bags loaded. Saltalamacchia is up.
Yeah, you just get the feel with the way he's using his fastball. And maybe that's what Roger McDowell, the pitching coach for the Braves, is going to talk to him about. He might have thrown one slider to Casey McGee, but then started throwing a lot of fastballs. And he's not had good command of the fastball. Get good velocity, but not good command.
McDowell's out there for two reasons: to settle Kimbrell down, but also the Braves bullpen is scrambling right now to get ready. A walk to McGee, the single by Jones. Ozuna walks. The career numbers for Kimbrell against the Fish. Well, this is an interesting matchup, Tommy Hunt. You've got a guy that throws as hard as Kimbrell does at 99. He can elevate the fastball, and you've got a hitter that's susceptible to a high fastball.
A lot of pitchers this year have tried to work Salty up with hard stuff. Good numbers with bases loaded, though, in his career.
And with the bases loaded, the infield has crept in.
There's a slider. It's the second one. He threw one to Casey McGee. Second pitch to Casey. Everything else had been a fastball. Now he's got to go back to the fastball.
And if you're Saltalamacchia, you know that you can get started early. Here's a 1-0.
He got it. But his fastballs have ranged from 96 to 99.
Even if you start early on it, it can still beat you, especially if it's up.
Yeah, even if you start early, there's no guarantee.
Shreve and Barbaro in Atlanta's bullpen. Bases filled with Fish. 1-1 in the ninth. Nobody out. Kimbrell. Check swing And it bounces back towards the diamond, but Johnson smartly is there to smother it. McGee and Gaddis talking about it at home plate. Gaddis said that thing almost came back in.
Kind of out of the same mold, aren't they? Evan Gaddis and Casey McGee.
Yes.
Maybe different backgrounds, but the same mold.
Let's see what Saltalamacchia gets 1 and 2. Kimbrel has been blowing at 99. Slider, and he got him. And a real good one.
And now the thinking changes for Kimbrel, and it changes for a hitter. Because all of a sudden, he's thrown a couple of good sliders. The one early in the count to Salty, not a bad one, missed. And then he threw a good one. So now you say, well, he might be getting the feel for the slider along with that fastball that's upper 90s.
Kimbrel is already posed and ready to go. Echeverria is just climbing in the box. Now the Braves middle infield relaxes back for 2. Bags loaded. There's slider 1, and it's out.
And no, for those of you who have any thought of a squeeze, that's not easy when a guy's throwing the way Kimbrel is. So get that out of your mind right now.
It's been a long night for Echeverria. He has struck out all 3 times. Donovan Solano is on deck. Check swing. Did he go? Yes. And Kimbrel steals a strike.
Yeah, it's just so hard to lay off that high heat when you commit early.
Missed. Slider. And it's 2-1.
And it didn't miss.
No. Echeverria got a big break. This was a perfect pitch to where it crosses the front of the plate. And so the count now 2-1. Go ahead run 90 feet away. Bags are loaded.
All right, there's a ray of sunshine on deck. Donovan Solano, 2 for 3. Not a big sample size, but he's had a little success against Kimbrel.
$27,000 trying to get Kimbrel through it. Echeverria battling. 2-2. 2 down. And here comes Solano.
4th time tonight. It's been a rough night for Etch that he has struck out. The Marlins, Rich, tonight have struck out 15 times.
In that comeback against St. Louis, the epic at bat by McGee against Rosenthal. Remember, the at bat before that was Solano's, and he had the same approach, which resulted in a base hit. But right now, Kimbrel has found his mojo.
Yeah, he has.
After walking McGee, a single to Jones, he walked Ozuna, but then struck out Saltalamacchia, struck out Echeverria. It is 0-1 on Solano. Fastball up.
Now Solano has had success, but one of the things with an extra pitch or an extra arm, the Marlins are short on the bench, and all their bench players are right-handed hitters. So you don't have that lefty to face a guy like Kimbrel.
1-1. Solano a liner, and it's caught by La Stella. Oh, he hit it on the button. Bags loaded, nobody out. And for Kimbrel, he gets out of it. To the bottom of the ninth in Atlanta, and it's still 1-1. Miami and Atlanta. Craig Kimbrel loaded them up and then got 3 consecutive outs. Miami dips into their bullpen again, and Brian Morris comes out of the pen. Morris enters and gets Evan Gattis, Chris Johnson, Andrelton Simmons. Terrific matchup here tonight. It was Tom Kohler and Julio Teheran who were striking out batters at an impressive clip. Kohler would strike out 7, Teheran 11. Now, we showed you this earlier. Evan Gattis on April 21st against the Marlins. A walk-off home run.
That was against Archimedes Caminero.
And so here is Gattis.
Now, the last time the Marlins faced the Braves, they did not have Brian Morris. So he's looking at them for the first time. They're looking at him for the first time this year. Just a couple of games in his career against Atlanta.
Gattis is 1 for 2, a walk, a single, a strikeout. He is a Marlin killer in the works. Just 19 games, but lots of damage. Ball and a strike. Dodgers are beating the Pirates, and that game has reached the bottom of the ninth in Pittsburgh, Morris's old team. 5-2. Los Angeles with the injury to Yasiel Puig. Remember, now Matt Kemp said he felt he was a center fielder and would like to maybe go somewhere else if that meant he could play center. He's in right tonight. Here's the 1-1. End of the bat, and it dribbles out to second. Gattis is out. Kemp is actually in right. Carl Crawford is the left fielder tonight for the Dodgers. And Andre Ethiers at center.
actually one of the outfielders that's done a pretty good job for the Dodgers this year is Van Slyke.
Chris Johnson drove in the only run of the night for Atlanta, and that was in the second. Boston narrowly beat Toronto 14-1. John Lackey the win. He's now 11-6.
Must have pelted was that game in Boston? No, it was in Toronto. I was going to say they pelted the Green Monster. They pelted the Rogers Center.
Big Poppy went big fly twice. Mike Napoli homered. Stephen Drew homered. Drew's was a 3-run shot.
Brian Morris continues to work that really good slider, sharp biter, just like that.
Braves and Nationals tied for first when play started tonight, and the Nationals have a 4-0 lead in Colorado. That's in the top of the 6th. And he strikes out Chris Johnson. 2 outs in the ninth. Andrelton Simmons up.
I'll tell you what, the Braves have struck out 10 times. So there have been a lot of whiffs at Turner Field here tonight.
Marlins Live, brought to you by Checkers. Nice to have Carl Pavano in the studio on a night where the pitching was as good as it has been. Simmons has power, and if you make a mistake, he can hit it out. Bouncer in the hole at short and into left. Simmons didn't stop on his way to second. Yelich's throw offline. That is a terrific hustle play by Andrelton Simmons, and for the Marlins, Echeverria got a piece of it.
Yeah, he got a piece of it. Yelich came in, threw a little bit offline, and you have to really be aware of the entire situation if you're Andrelton Simmons, and he was. You're aware that they're 2 out. You're aware it's a tie game. You want to get to second base. He did all that, so he got himself a double on that ground ball that just got off the glove of Echeverria, who wouldn't have had a play had he caught it.
Yeah, and watching the replay as well, Yelich did all that he could. He was coming hard. Just the fact that Echeverria deflected it and slowed it down. Simmons at second. Here is Ryan Doumit now. Doumit climbs in.
A little surprised he's going to see anything to hit. Doumit, a switch hitter. And on deck, you have B.J. Upton, who's 0 for 4, and certainly susceptible to a strikeout. He struck out over 120 times.
Doumit has no great shakes against right-handed pitching. 220 this year. Does have a couple of homers. 82 at bats.
He does have 9 pinch hits on the year.
One. And it's 2-1.
couple of former Buccos, Ryan Doumit and Brian Morris.
Doumit took a northern detour on his way to Atlanta. Spent 2013 and 2012 with the Twins. But a longtime Pirate. And a versatile guy. Guy can catch, play first, plays the outfield. Morris is 2-1. Well, they're pitching to him, but he's been burying breaking balls in the dirt his last two. The count now 3-1.
He certainly doesn't have to give in. He can try to bury that slider down and in again.
He walks him, and so it will be B.J. Upton. Upton 0 for 4. With Simmons, you do have speed at second. The advantage Simmons has is there's 2 outs. Any contact, he's flying.
The hardest hit ball by B.J. Upton tonight was a shot to third. He was picked by Casey McGee back in the 5th inning.
8 career walk-off hits. Beat the Marlins in late August last year. Morris is 1-0. The sharp slider. Doumit the trail runner, but of course Simmons the important one. With 2 outs. In a 1-1 game in Atlanta in the bottom of the 9th.
Got the left-handed bat of La Stella on deck.
And a 2-1 coming. Upton not going after the slider. Now it's 3-1. Morris out of Tullahoma, Tennessee. Two-1 or 3-1 rather, in the air, right center. Stanton is there, got it. And Brian Morris strands 2, and the Marlins live to see the 10th. Giancarlo due up 3rd. All season long, Jack Link's Beef Jerky feed your wild side. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Preston Wilson. In Atlanta, 1-1, Marlins and Braves, 10th inning. And top of the order coming up for the Fish. Kenny Rogers making friends. Looks good, Tommy. Looks
sand.
Yep. You know, maybe kiss a baby, shake some hands. He's a big baseball fan.
Well, he's been, what was that song? Islands in the Sun? He's been spending time. Islands in the Sun.
Now, if Dolly walks down the section 101 or wherever he is, then we really got something.
I think I got that title wrong, but you know what I meant. Hey, Shea Simmons is a little bit out of the Craig Kimbrell mode. 5'11", 175, but has good stuff.
Marlins remember him. He made his major league debut against the Marlins in Miami.
Yeah, he has live fastball, slider.
He doesn't have the entry music or
that'll come
Metallica or anything picked out. He's been a terrific minor league pitcher. Hasn't spent a whole lot of time in the minor leagues.
No, he's only 23, and he was a 22nd round pick.
Yelich's base hit was in the 8th. Well, the work of Julio Teheran and Tom Kohler all but forgotten now. You're into the 10th. Those guys are long gone.
They've already iced.
Dan Jennings in Miami's bullpen. Yelich in the left field, a base hit.
Yeah, last two ABs for Christian Yelich. He has that nice swing back, a couple of base hits. Stays back, fastball out over the plate. And on top of it.
All right, a lot of things you can do here. Yelich has run a couple of times. Once Valdespin hit a smash that Simmons stabbed and forced Yelich at second on. The other he fouled off. You can bunt. You obviously would, if you successfully bunt, open first base with Stanton up. But the Marlins have done that, and they've done it with success this year because of the year Casey McGee's had.
And Valdespin's a pretty good fastball hitter.
Squares the bunt and takes. Gaddis turns in disbelief to Rob Drake. There's nothing subtle about Evan Gaddis. And he was right. It was a strike, a break. Although a lot of times for an umpire, anytime a catcher raises up like that,
blocks him out a little bit.
It kind of distorts the strike zone. Yelich away from first. Valdespin, a good bunt. Freeman picks it up, makes the throw, and gets the out. And so we'll see how the Braves attack Stanton. Now, Stanton in the ballgame is 0 for 4. I mean, if you
Casey
were,
McGee's had some good at bats.
I know. I mean, watching the at bats tonight, if you were Simmons or Roger McDowell or Freddie Would you want to pitch to Stanton here or pitch to McGee?
See, that's the amazing thing, is that as the years gone on, even though Casey has been so remarkable with runners in scoring position, most managers fear Giancarlo. The one thing it does here, though, it sets up a double play.
And McGee has hit into a lot of those.
Yeah, that's the one thing it does here in this situation.
You know, earlier in the night on Marlins Live, we profiled the two third basemen and how similar they are, and that they're not big power hitters, but they're getting the job done. And Chris Johnson and Casey McGee, the two guys who are tied for the most double plays, Chris Johnson, Casey McGee, 16 apiece.
Well, the one thing that Casey has over Chris Johnson is a .398 batting average with runners in scoring position coming into the game. The other thing that Casey's done really well this year, I mean, we've talked about his consistency. .318 at home, .326 on the road. How about D. Gordon on that list?
D. Gordon is having a terrific
all-star
year.
D. Gordon.
Yeah, and I guess we can't say he's under the radar now that he's an all-star. Stanton at first, Yelich at second. There's one out. McGee up. And Simmons misses in. Well, you've got speed with Yelich at second, and Stanton can run as well at first.
And Stanton's stepping off a nice lead to try to take out second base in a possible double play, and that's what you want the runner at first base to do. Because Freddie Freeman is playing way off the line, so you can, as a runner, you can get off as far as Freeman and know that you can get back.
In fact, when the pitch is delivered to the plate, Freeman is actually moving to his right and mirroring Stanton as he comes off the bag. 2-0. Let's see what McGee gets. Breaking ball, and he fouls it back.
Didn't get fastball. Got the slider. It was a pretty good slider to hit, but in a count where Casey McGee may have been thinking fastball.
Two-one. He's got a good fastball. Anthony Varvaro in the bullpen. Count 2-2 to McGee. Jones on deck. Check swing. No swing. All right, now you have speed at both bases, and you've got McGee at the plate, who does bounce into double plays. Do you start him?
This is what managers get paid a lot of money for. I would roll the dice and say yeah, but you get a strikeout, throw him out, you're out of the inning. But I'd roll the dice. Go ahead.
Let's see
Give
if
it a
they're
shot.
Moving, not running. McGee lines it foul.
The other thing, if you run, you leave yourself open for a line drive at one of the infielders and an easy double play that way.
Well, the way that the Braves have shifted for McGee, it also brings LaStella, the second baseman, closer to Yelich.
Who cannot get a very good lead.
Right. You see how close LaStella is to second. Now, McGee digs in. Another 3-2. It's down low, and the bags are loaded. And here comes Jones. McGee has walked for the second time tonight. Well, the Marlins had him loaded with nobody out in the ninth. Kimbrel was wobbling, but in Craig Kimbrel fashion, he would straighten up in a hurry. He struck out Saltalamacchia. He struck out Echeverria. And then Donovan Solano hit a line drive right at La Stella at second to end the inning. Here, Kimbrel 2.0. Simmons with the bags loaded and one out.
You know, you just can't, against a team like the Braves, you just can't keep letting these opportunities slide by.
All right, Preston Wilson, you're Garrett Jones. You've just watched this inning unfold. What are you looking for? We'll check in with Preston later. Jones now.
You have to get that extra inning battery going.
Up the middle, into center field, the base hit. Yelich scores. Here comes Stanton. He will score. Garrett Jones. And the Marlins break through here in Atlanta in the 10th.
Big base hit by Garrett Jones, who broke an 0 for 12 with his base hit in the 9th inning. Didn't try to do a whole lot. Fastball out over the plate, right by the pitcher, and 2 RBIs and a 2-run lead. So good job by Garrett Jones.
Chase Simmons' night is done. The Marlins with still only 1 out. Runners at first and second now. Jones sneaks that one through. 39 RBIs on the season for Jones, and 2 enormous ones here in Atlanta in the 10th inning. Freddie Gonzalez going to the bullpen. Our Wes Kendall called to the pen. Marcell Ozuna comes to the plate. Anthony Bavaro on the mound for the Braves. Bavaro at 3-2. He's another solid arm. The Braves bullpen very good. The bullpen ERA just 3.20. But tonight the Marlins get 2 runs here in the 10th. And they could get more. There's only 1 out. And Bavaro gets a strike. Marcell Ozuna 1 for 3.
Ozuna has to think that same at bat, same approach that he had back in the 7th inning. Remember when he drilled that ball between first and second? Good job there.
0-2. And it stays at 0-2. Well, Julio Teheran and Tom Kohler were both splendid. They gave up a run apiece. The bullpen for Miami has been terrific so far. Mike Dunn, A.J. Ramos, and Brian Morris, though a little bit of anxiety in the ninth. Morris got through it. Steve Cishek getting ready for the bottom of the 10th. Ozuna off the end of the bat, and it's just wide of the bag at first.
I think the last couple of innings against Kimbrel, certainly one of the best. Against the youngster Simmons, Marlins have had real good approach. A couple of walks in the ninth, a walk, an intentional walk here in the 10th.
That one off the end of the bat as well. Freeman gathers it and gets the out. Preston Wilson is down below field level. The approach Tommy was talking about, Press, in both the ninth when the Marlins loaded him up, and here in the 10th they load him up and finally get the runs across. What have you seen?
Well, I've seen the Braves pitchers really trying to exploit off-speed pitches as far as changeups and sliders, and I think Case McGee did a good job of really setting the table there, trying to take away the best pitch from Simmons. He took away the slider and forced him into the fastball and was able to draw a walk, and that set up Garrett Jones, who is a left-handed hitter. Simmons was having a lot of trouble with left-handed hitters because he couldn't get to that forkball type changeup, and it really put a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, McGee's had some terrific at-bats. He had a walk in the ninth. Remember, that opened the inning against Kimbrel. And the walk in the 10th got Jones to the plate.
But he does a really good job of understanding what the pitcher's trying to do to him. And he doesn't have an ego when it comes to being upset if he gets jammed. Right there, he was willing to let the ball jam him in order to take away from that slider from the pitcher. And it worked out perfectly because the pitch that he had a really good swing on was a slider, 2-0. That let him know that if he was going to try to get him out, he was going to try to get him out soft. And he was stubborn enough to stay with that through the whole at bat.
Here's the 1-1. It's fouled back. Thank you, Preston. We talked about McGee and his walk rate, all the discussion about his interesting numbers this year and how they wash out. And that's a real positive, and as you talked about, an influence from his year in Japan.
You know, something Preston said is so true, and I remember hearing it years ago. Good hitters aren't afraid to get jammed.
Bavaro gets a visit from Gaddis. Saltalamacchia, who homered in this ball game. Remember, it was Saltalamacchia that provided Miami with their only run. That was in the 5th, and that was it for the Fish. The Braves got a run in the 2nd on the ground ball out from Johnson. It's 1-2. Anthony Bavaro, 4th out of the bullpen for the Braves.
Boy, a lot of things in this game. The Marlins hang on and win this game that you can take away as a positive, especially for the first game of a 4-game series.
2-2. We've talked about the Braves and how they're knotted at the top of the division with Washington. Washington leads Colorado 4-2 in the 6th. Well, the Marlins are just a half game behind the Mets. And the Mets are in Seattle tonight. Seattle has scored first. It's 1-0, bottom second. And Saltalamacchia swings and misses. And the inning is over. Miami gets two. Big hit by Garrett Jones. A 2-run single. Steve Cishek will try to close it. Here's how they constructed the rally.
Yeah, this is in case you just wandered in. There's a base hit to start things by Christian Yelich. Beautiful sacrifice bunt from Valdespin, getting Yelich on to second. They intentionally walked Giancarlo, and then a terrific at bat by Casey McGee, who draws the walk. Bases loaded for Garrett Jones. First pitch right back up the middle. Big base hit for Jonesy. He has 2 hits in a row, and the Marlins, like that, took a 2-run lead. Now they turn it over to Steve Cishek.
Cishek 21 of 24 in save opportunities. The ERA took a beating over his last 2-3 weeks. He had a couple of blown saves, a couple of outings. But of course, Cishek in the ball game yesterday came in and handled the Giants, getting Pablo Sandoval, Michael Morse, and Hector Sanchez.
Yeah, I think that was good to see him get back up on the horse at 1-2-3 inning. Good pitch to put away Sanchez to nail it down for his 21st save.
Well, it won't be easy in terms of position in the lineup. 2, 3, 4. La Stella, Freeman, Justin Upton. Cishek gets a strike. La Stella an 0 for 4. Freeman 0 for 4. And then you've got Justin Upton with 2 hits. And out in front, 0-2. Going into yesterday's ball game, the Marlins had lost 6 in a row, but they beat the Giants 3-2. A chance to beat the Braves here in extra innings. Estella pops it, shallow left. Yelich on the spot makes the catch.
There are a couple of things. I said there are a lot of things. I'll give you a couple right off the bat in winning a game like this with a couple of more outs. You win a game where Julio Teheran, an all-star pitcher, strikes out 11, ties a career high. You win a game against a team that's won 5 of their last 7, and they've been scoring a lot of runs. They've scored 6 or more runs for their last 5 games.
Freeman, an 0 for 4, a pair of strikeouts. 1-2. Not sure if Freeman fouled that, but a wicked slider. They got by everybody.
Tell you one more thing, Rich. You can win a game where you're 40 games under at Turner Field. Marlins came in tonight 54-94 in this ballpark.
Freeman strikes out. Cishek with 2 outs.
Boy, this is just good old gas, and he gets it by Freddie Freeman. So his struggles against the Marlins, third time he struck out in this ball game. Freddie Freeman now 2 for 41 against the Marlins this year.
Justin Upton. Nice to be able to face Upton with nobody on base and a 2-run lead. Trying to shut the door in the bottom of the 10th. Cishek misses in. Well, you talked about the total history. The recent history has been just as ugly. The Marlins have dropped 14 of their last 20 in this ballpark. But it's a 4-game set and a great way to start it if Cishek can get another out. And he pours across the strike. It's 1-1.
You've made their ace closer work a little bit. Kimbrel came in a tie game, threw a lot of pitches.
Slider. And Cishek a strike away. Marlins Live is coming up. One, two. Got him! Ball game. Cishek shuts the door. Miami rallies to win it in the 10th. And the Marlins open this 4-game series with a 3-1 win over the Braves. Big night for the Fish. Tom Kohler splendid on the mound. The Marlins knocked the Braves bullpen around. And for Miami, they've put together a 2-game win streak. The Fish snapped the losing streak yesterday against the first place Giants. And tonight they beat another first place team, the Braves.